Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
Morning, everybody. Hope you're well. Hope you've had a great day yesterday, and I hope you look forward to what is the last day of this week as we move into the weekend. Transfer news is hotting up. Make sure you check out yesterday's shows. Had Northside on one-on-one. Last night's show was fantastic with Sophie from Highbury Squad, who I had on one-on-one, and we are going to do more of them. So as the days go on, you'll start to see more Arsenal content creators joining me for a one-on-one chat. So let's get into this morning. We're going to be talking all things Arsenal. Arsenal news is hotting up, people. Trust me, we're going to talk about all of the news that concerns Arsenal Football Club. We're also going to talk about Manchester City and Dani Olmo. We're going to talk about Jared Branthwaite. We're going to talk a little bit about Manchester United. We're going to talk a little bit about West Ham and Aston Villa as well. We're going to touch on Chelsea and we're going to touch on Newcastle. So buckle up. Get yourself ready because this show is going to be a busy one. Big up to everybody that's in the chat. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure that you subscribe. We are flying towards 30k, people. So please make sure that the community continues to do their thing by hitting the subscribe button. If you want to be a part of the 12-man community, all you've got to do is hit the like button and the subscribe button. It's two buttons that are absolutely free. It does not cost you a penny. If you would like to contribute to the channel, then you can put in a super chat or you can join as a member and pay a minimal fee monthly to the channel. So let's say good morning to everybody in the chat room. W Arsenal, good morning to you. Good morning to Mum. Hope you're enjoying your holiday. Good morning to Guna49. Good morning to Dan, Mr. Robbo, Robin, Tony, Emerson, Jojo, Kyle, Helsinki, and Ola. Good morning also to Shax. And good morning to everybody that I have not mentioned that is listening and are not in the chat room. And of course, all of you that are watching on catch up. I love the fact that we get a lot of people that get up a little bit later or busy at work and catch us later. So big up to you guys that are doing that as well. Almost 100 of you in there. That must mean we must be on 50 likes. Make sure you hit the like button, please, people. And we will get to it. We're going to start with some news that concerns Manchester City. There are strong rumours suggesting that Manchester City have made an offer to sign the 26-year-old Spanish midfielder Dani Olmo from Leipzig. But Barcelona are also chasing Olmo, and they've made a bid of initially £40 million, which should be spread over 4 payments with £20 million in add-ons for him. Now, I can't talk as an Arsenal fan, right? But that sounds like a bit of a strange deal to me. Leipzig have rejected Barcelona's offer for Olmo as it falls well below their expectations. I'm not surprised. He is a talent. He had a release clause which is no longer able to be activated. It's expired. That was, I believe, around about just over 50 million euros. So to offer 40 million, which would be a steal anyway, right? Over 4 years and then some add-ons, they're taking the piss, aren't they, Barcelona? I mean, that is absolutely crazy. But according to reports, Manchester City have made a concrete offer, and that's reports over in France. It sounds to me like he would probably be interested in Barcelona because every single Spanish player that does not play for them at the moment is being linked with them. Whether your name's Williams, whether it's Merino, whether it's Fabian Ruiz, whether it's Dani Olmo, they've obviously already got Yamal. What is going on over there? I mean, they've got so many players already. Pedri, Gavi, Busquets. They've obviously got De Jong. Wow. I mean, Gundogan is still there. Oh, dear me. How are they going to get all these players and fit them all in? Bizarre. But there we go. Anyway, I'm all for strength in depth, but you don't need 12 midfielders, do you? Wow. But listen, Manchester City, they believe they've made concrete offers. Now, I don't know what this means for Manchester City. Like, who is he going to play a hit there instead of? Phil Foden, KDB, Bernardo Silva. They've obviously got Rodri that sits and holds, and they've got one either side of them. Normally, Kovacic is there, Nunez is there. There's links to them with other midfielders as well. Is Dani Olmo going to come in because KDB is going? I don't know. I still believe KDB will stay at Manchester City. So maybe Barcelona are favourites to get this one across the line, but they've got to do better than that. That is a pathetic first bid. To put in 40 million is fine for a first bid, but to ask to pay it over 4 years, what's happening there? Oh yeah, we'll give you 10 million and by 2028, we'd have paid it off. That's just mad, isn't it? That is something that Arsenal under Arsene Wenger would have done for sure. So really can't see that one being very popular with Leipzig at all, if I'm honest with you. I think they'll accept that he wants to leave. I think they'll accept that he wants to go from Leipzig. I think he's a talented boy. I think he's a good player. Surprised that Arsenal haven't been over this one, if I'm honest, because there's rumours that Smith-Rowe might be leaving and the future of Fabio Vieira is very, very up in the air, of course. So, listen, it's going to be a good signing, but if Man City are going to want him, they're going to they're going to know now what the price is. That's for sure. But that is really disrespectful, in my opinion, as a first bid. So let's see what happens to Dani Olmo. Sky Sports in Germany are reporting that Leipzig are not happy with Barcelona's offer. They've rejected it. It falls well below their expectations. I imagine they'll want similar to what his release clause was, which is around about 50 million. So I think that could get him. Listen, 40 million with add-ons might get it, but not paid over 4 years. That's just absolutely crazy. So let's see what City do, because that could be interesting. A player we've spoken about before that is linked with Manchester United, it is Everton's Jared Branthwaite. Now, apparently, Everton defender Branthwaite, who is 22 years old, is intending not to sign a new deal at Everton unless they can match the £160 a week that Manchester United are offering him. That's been reported in the Mail and by Romano and many other sources. That's him saying, isn't it, to Everton, pay me a lot of money or I'm going Man United. And you know what? I don't blame him. I know he's only 22 and he's got a lot to thank Everton for the club to give him a chance. But when Manchester United come in and Everton say, well, you ain't going unless it's 80 million, he might look and go, well, actually, I would have liked to have gone to Manchester United. So if you're not going to let me go there, then at least pay me what they were going to pay me. I think there might be movement on this. There's something about this deal that tells me that he might end up still going to Manchester United. I know he's a lot of money. I don't think they're going to sell him on the cheap. They're not going to get 80 or 70 million for him, but something tells me that they might agree something in the 60 million plus add-ons. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. I've not heard anything. There's been no rumours to suggest that is the case, but I do feel that Branthwaite has still got some legs. It won't go away. The rumour just won't stop. And do Everton need to keep him for £60 million? Because I think I'd be selling him. I know he's a top talent at 22, but £60 million can go on a couple of areas in Everton's side that can really bolster their squad. Like Everton are still not safe this coming season. I don't look at Everton and think, well, they won't be near the bottom because they've got Sean Dyche, because they could be. Everton's squad is not fantastic. So I think they need to look at that personally. If they're going to get 50 million for Onana and 60 million for Branthwaite, with the FFP problems they've got, they need money, right? So I just think this one's potentially still got legs, and I just wonder if there's an opportunity there that they go back in Manchester United and he ends up as a Manchester United player. Sticking with Manchester United, let's talk about this guy, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. There's a lot of talks and reports suggesting that he has rejected advances from West Ham as he would prefer a move abroad, and that club that he would prefer a move to is apparently Inter Milan. Now, Manchester United have also revisited a potential swap deal involving Wan-Bissaka, and the player that could be coming the other way is 28-year-old Denzel Dumfries. Now, I know a lot of you will know him from his time over in the Euros, watching him play. I actually think he's quite a good player, I must say. He's been an experienced head now, and one that when he did come on the scene, everyone sort of went, wow, who's this? This would be an upgrade for me on Wan-Bissaka. I think Wan-Bissaka's good one-on-one defending, but other than that, hasn't got much else to offer going forward, in my opinion. West Ham, I don't think are going to end up getting him because it looks like they're going to now get Mazraoui from Bayern Munich. If you believe the rumours and reports suggested that he's favourites to go to West Ham now, not Manchester United. And if they want to upgrade on Wan-Bissaka, they've still got Dalot, remember, Manchester United, who I think is a very underrated and consistent performer for Manchester United. I'm a fan of him. Denzel Dumfries would be a definitely good signing. If you're going to swap him for Wan-Bissaka, fair play. If you believe in what you read, then this could have some legs in it. So those reports are being suggested, coming out from TalkSport and the Mail, that they are looking at a potential swap deal. So would Wan-Bissaka go over to Inter Milan and Denzel Dumfries be on his way over to Manchester United? Keep an eye on that one because I think it does have some legs. Let's see what happens there. Let's talk about this guy next, shall we? Because Ivan Toney is being linked with a move to Tottenham Hotspur, and apparently West Ham are interested in him. Now, Arsenal, Chelsea have had very, very loose links with him over the last couple of windows, if I'm honest. And I do think that it would be a very good signing. I'm really surprised that clubs are turning their noses up at Ivan Toney. He's 28 years old. It's not like he's got to the age of decline of a footballer. He causes absolute havoc. He knows where the goal is. He scored Premier League goals already. Premier League proven striker. Even with 8 months out, has come and looked good for England, for club, and also for country at Brentford. So I think it's going to be a real good opportunity for someone to sign him. However, the Sun are reporting that Brentford's plans to let this target Ivan Toney leave could be shelved after the 28-year-old's forward's replacement Igor Thiago suffered an injury in pre-season. Now, Brentford will want to sell him because he wants to leave the club. They want to make some money from him, but they have actually got to try and replace him. Now, if they've already signed their replacement and he's now got injured, are they going to go even get another replacement, or are they going to go and keep hold of Ivan Toney? I just don't know what could happen here. I expect him to leave still, but I still don't know where. The Manchester United need him. The Liverpool need him. The Chelsea need him. Tottenham, West Ham, Arsenal. I think all those clubs need a striker, if I'm honest with you. I don't think there's any of those clubs I look at and go, yeah, they've got a brilliant number 9, because Xerxes and Højlund aren't brilliant number 9s. Arsenal don't have a brilliant number 9. Chelsea don't have a brilliant number 9. Neither do Tottenham or West Ham. So I can see why he's linked with those clubs. I don't know where he's going to end up, but at the moment, Brentford striker has just got injured, so I don't think they're wanting to get rid of him anytime soon. So keep an eye on what happens with Ivan Toney, because it looks as if for the first time in a while, that deal might be a little bit more stalled than it already is. So let's see. I actually, if I had to pick and put my money on it, I actually think it will be between Chelsea and Spurs. That's what I think. And I think it would be a fantastic signing for both of them. I think he'll score goals. That's for sure. Someone who was used to scoring goals in Premier League, and that is Premier League proven, is this guy who everyone's forgotten about, played for Watford, Ismail Sarr. He apparently has agreed with Crystal Palace £12.6 million deal to sign Sarr from Marseille. He's 26 years old. The Athletic are suggesting that Palace have agreed 12.6 million to sign the Senegal winger Sarr. I didn't know he was this young still at 26. Feels like he's been around forever. But he's over at Marseille. Obviously, he was at Rennes, was signed by Watford, did well, in my opinion anyway, and came to the Premier League, but Watford weren't able to stay up. This could be a good replacement for Elise. Now, there's reports that Eze, Elise, Guehi, who else is there? Someone else from Crystal Palace now as well, that are being linked with moves away. Tyreek Mitchell, that's who I'm thinking of. Crystal Palace can't afford to be gutted this season. I mean, they could actually flirt with relegation if they were to lose those 4 or 5 key players for me. So they have to do what they can to keep hold of them. But they also have to add quality. And I think Ismail Sarr is someone who definitely shows glimpses of quality. Whether he can do it consistently is still a question mark for me. He hasn't been able to do that yet, but he's a player that I do like. And I think when you look at players like him, they kind of light up the league. And I think he kind of did that when he was playing over in Rennes. And showed glimpses of that in the Premier League. So, yeah, let's see where this one goes. I personally feel like it would be a good signing for Crystal Palace, though. That's for sure. A player that I had a lot of time for when I was looking at his game. Let's talk about this guy, Adeyemi. We heard previously that Chelsea were linked with him. Juventus are also very interested in him. And Aston Villa are now monitoring the Borussia Dortmund and Germany winger Karim Adeyemi, who's only 22 years old. I think he's a talent. I think he's a good player. Do I think he's going to be next level? No. But I think it'd be a very good signing for Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa are cooking, if I'm honest with you. At the moment, they look like they are bringing in players and receiving fees for players to go and do some business. I think Unai Emery has got the free will there. I think he's got free reign to do what he likes. And if Adeyemi and João Felix are the 2 people named to come in at Aston Villa, then Aston Villa could be very exciting. You know, Champions League football now, what are they going to be doing under Unai Emery with Champions League football? Well, I actually think Aston Villa can have a good season. The problem you've got with Villa is they've got Champions League football. Are they going to be able to play 2-3 games a week? That is going to be very, very difficult for them, because one of their kind of, I don't know, pros and cons when you're weighing them up. One of the cons would be that not many of them have played Champions League football before. Unai Emery is not known to play Champions League football week in, week out, albeit he's got a fantastic record in Europa League. I will say this, though. I think what Aston Villa are doing in terms of trying to build a squad is very, very good. You know, with João Felix and Adeyemi are coming in. Yes, they've lost Luiz and Diaby, but let's be real, they've added Ross Barkley. They're looking to add, they've added Onana. They're looking to now add Felix and Adeyemi. They've got Maatsen in as well now, and still being linked with more. So I think Aston Villa have actually got the starter to build a really good squad here. So I think they could be a very good that could be a very good signing. Sticking with Aston Villa, though, one player that looks like that is leaving is Duran. Now, apparently, West Ham have made a 30 million bid and have offered 18-year-old English midfielder Lewis Orford in the move to sign the Colombian striker Duran. He's only 20 years old. That's what the Athletic are saying. Now, apparently, they've come back and rejected that, and they want closer to 35 million for him. Now, I don't know. For me, it is a lot of money. For a player who's 20, he hasn't done anything yet whatsoever. I understand people will say, well, Smith-Rowe was 35 million and Anderson was 35 million and XYZ. But Duran hasn't really proved himself yet. He's come on and looked okay. He's got a couple of goals and no one's really gone, oh my God, he's going to be the next Thierry Henry. So 35, 40 million for him would be a hell of a lot of money. I understand why Villa want that because they're going to want as much as possible. But if West Ham are serious, they've thrown in players, then perhaps they can get him for a little bit cheaper. Now, I imagine they'll probably accept 32 million around that mark. They're going to throw a player in as well. That'll definitely help things for West Ham. But again, West Ham might have a good window. I must say this. I mean, like, let's be real. West Ham have actually looked to go and get positions that they've needed for a while. They need a right back. They look like they're getting Mazraoui. They need a centre back. They've got Max Kilman. It looks like they're going in for Trevor Chalobah as well, or Tomori. Tadibo they wanted, but looks like he's going to Juve. They're going to go in for Duran now. They've been linked with Reiss Nelson, and they've also been linked with other wingers. So for me, they're the positions that I look at from an outsider at West Ham and think, yeah, they need them players. They need those positions covered. Like for me, I think it would be a really good window for West Ham if things continue to progress the way that they are. So let's see. Let's see. The next bit of news is this player who's actually ex-Liverpool over at Nottingham Forest. It is Nico Williams. But West Ham have bid for the 23-year-old, but it's been rejected. Not sure what the bid is. Nottingham Forest want to keep him. They've rejected West Ham's bid for him. He's actually a highly rated player, but he is 23 now. He's not a youngster anymore. Remember when he came on the scene at Liverpool and everyone thought he was going to be somebody that you could play at right back so Trent could be pushed forward. I always remember the Liverpool fans believing that, but not quite good enough for me. I've not been impressed with him, if I'm honest, over at Forest. I don't think he's been able to hold down a position for all of his time there. He's clearly talented. There's clearly something there, but I haven't been amazingly impressed when I have watched him at Forest. So let's see what happens. But West Ham looks to me as if they are probably going to go and get Mazraoui. So I would be surprised if they had much more legs on this one. Let's move to Liverpool because Williams did used to play for them. And apparently Juventus have told Liverpool they will need to submit a bid of £50 million if they want to sign the 27-year-old Brazilian Bremer. Now, he is a centre-half I do not know much about. However, if they do want him, £50 million is the region that they want. Now, if I'm Liverpool, I'm not going to bother with this one. I'm going to go and get a Mark Guehi, who I think lit up the Euros, has been great for Palace. It's Premier League proven and might cost a little bit more, yes, but I think you go and put in a bid of 55 million for Guehi, not for Bremer. That's just my opinion. Some people might disagree and think, oh my God, you clearly haven't watched this guy. He's phenomenal. But for a 27-year-old, I'd rather go and get a 23-year-old in Mark Guehi, who's got 4 more years of football left in him. And let's be real, looks very, very promising. So that's what I'd be doing. He'd be my number one if I was Liverpool. I'd go and get Mark Guehi. I really would. And I said last summer, when they were trying to get Lavia and Caicedo, I said, why don't you go and get Paulinho? And why don't you go and get Mark Guehi? No, they're not good enough. Being really snobby. No, they're not good enough for Liverpool. Well, I can tell you now, Mark Guehi is a good centre-half and Paulinho lit up the Premier League. So for me, those two signings would have had a much better opportunity of getting Liverpool across the line under Klopp in the Premier League. That's all I'm saying. So let's see what happens with Liverpool. It looks like they want to go and get a centre-half. So Bremer, if that's the guy they want, then Arne Slot has clearly identified him as the centre-half that they want. So let's see if that has got some legs in it. Let's talk about Chelsea, shall we? Chelsea, in my opinion, linked with a lot of young players. They need definitely some experience. They need to go and look at a player up top like a Tony or an Osimhen. They're going to need a creative midfielder. They're going to need a holding, a centre half, sorry, and they're going to need a left winger. They're going to need a goalkeeper. They need some experience. So let's see what experienced players they're linked with today. Oh, 21-year-old 21-year-old Ivory Coast centre half, Gueladu, 7.6 million from Rennes. Sky Italy reporting that Chelsea are close to making this one happen. They really need another centre half who's 21, don't they? My goodness, what is happening here? I do not understand Chelsea at all. I'm sorry, do not get this project one bit. Makes absolutely no sense to me. Somebody like Mark Gare, he would have been perfect for them, but it makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. They're getting another 21-year-old to go on top of their other 21-year-old centre halves that they've got. Todd Bowley, how not to run a football club. That's all I'm saying. But this one looks to be getting done. Don't know anything about him. Rennes centre half. Maybe he's the next William Saliba. Who knows? According to, I'm sure, Don, who absolutely loves everything Chelsea do, I'm sure he'll tell me that it will be a next John Terry. So there we go. Let's see what happens there. Moving across to PSG. Looks like PSG are going to get their guy. I'm actually a little bit jealous of this. I think this is going to be a very good signing for them. 19-year-old Benfica star, João Neves. Looks like he is close and on a deal with PSG, Romano says, to sign for him. Now, I don't know how much it's going to cost, but it's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. They believe it's around about £70 million. And they are suggesting that Renato Sanchez is going to be part of the deal. Now, if you remember, Renato Sanchez, who is now 26, when he was 19, João Neves' age, he was supposed to be the best player in the world. Well, it never really worked for him when he went to Swansea in the end, and it never has really sorted him out. Bayern Munich, now PSG, no one's really got the best out of him. But João Neves, he looks like a baller. He really does look good. I'm a big fan of what I've seen from him. And I must say that Arsenal, although we're linked with him, I think it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Because I do think that he would have been Premier League suited. A lot of people say he's lightweight, would have been kicked around a bit. His feet are so quick. He looks like a Santi on the ball, Santi Cazorla on the ball. So I think personally it will be a very good signing for PSG, and I expect him to do very, very well there. Let's talk about Miguel Almiron very quickly. Newcastle, 30-year-old, is in advanced talks to leave the club, and it looks like Newcastle have accepted he's going to be over at his career at Newcastle. And the Paraguay winger is linked with the Saudi Pro League club. Now, I'm not sure what one. There's so many over there that are interested in him. I imagine there will be a deal that happens with Newcastle. And it's probably going to see Kieran Trippier head over there as well. I think they've accepted their right-hand side is going to be revamped, whether they get somebody in at right back or just play Timo Livramento there, or if they look to get a right winger, which I imagine they probably will, Newcastle. They were linked with Elise. They have been linked with Pedro Neto and other wingers over the last few weeks. So watch this space and see who replaces Miguel Almiron, because it looks like his time's done at the club. We're going to move to Newcastle. We've just done Newcastle. We're going to move to Arsenal next, because there are a lot of reports this morning reporting that Arsenal's midfield is looking at a complete and utter revamp. And this guy is being linked. Now, when I heard this yesterday, Fabian Ruiz linked with Arsenal, I just thought it was absolute nonsense rumours. But then on the same couple of hours after, João Neves is on his way to PSG. Now, from what we believe, PSG were looking to sell Fabian Ruiz before the Euros. He's a player that Arsenal have looked at before. When he was at Napoli, he was somebody that we were interested in looking at. And for me, he would be a good signing. Now, there's the option here for Arsenal to go and get a loan with an obligation to buy. And they only want, apparently, 35, 40 million pounds for him. This would be a really good bit of business for Arsenal. If we can get him on loan with an obligation to buy, that would be phenomenal. We wouldn't even have to buy him until next summer. That is phenomenal. For me, that has to happen. You know, I'm a big fan of Fabian Ruiz. I like what he's seen. I personally feel like he was one of the best players in the Euros. But apparently we've opened up talks with PSG about the Spanish midfielder. He's 28 years old now. It would require the Gunners to offload a player. And that player, we don't know who it is. Is it going to be one that is already tipped with leaving, or is it going to be a separate player? We'll talk about that more in a minute. But for me, this would be a really good signing. Now, a lot of people have been speaking about, do Arsenal need a 10? Do they need a 6? Do they need 8? Do they need all 3? Do they need just 1? I wonder, and I said this last night to Sophie, are Arsenal going to go a little bit different this season? Are we going to go with a double pivot instead of a 6-8-10? Are we going to have Declan Rice and Merino? Are we going to have Declan Rice and Ruiz? Are we going to have Declan Rice and Partey? I think that could be more. We've already seen Arsenal playing a double pivot against Liverpool and Manchester City with Jorginho and Rice. Are we going to see something similar? And I can't help but think that if you did that, you wouldn't need to worry about 2 6s, 2 8s, and 2 10s. You could have players that play in that double pivot, and you can also have options to play 6, 8, 10 if you want to. So it wouldn't surprise me if we got a couple of midfielders in here, revamped it, future-proofed it a bit. And I know at 28, there's only 4 or 5 years there, but that's enough to get the best out of your player because they're in their absolute prime there. So for me, I think it would be really good to see Fabian Ruiz at Arsenal. The other player, there is a lot of rumours about picking up very, very quickly today. According to Romano, according to Graham Bailey, that there are reports suggesting that this one could have some legs. Once Calafiori is done, Arsenal will pursue their next target, and it is expected to be a midfielder. And apparently it's been confirmed that Sociedad's Merino is emerging as Arsenal's top target. Now, according to a lot of sources, he is the one that we are chasing. Fabrizio Romano has said on Arsenal, after Calafiori, the focus will be on midfield. Merino remains a strong option. They've still not presented any proposal to Real Sociedad because Arsenal like to work deal by deal. That is quite frustrating, that last bit, but I understand it. Arsenal have ramped up their efforts to sign Merino and are edging closer to a deal with the belief the player has chosen Arsenal. And Football London is suggesting that apparently Merino has said no, he does not want Barcelona. That's crazy. Barcelona pulling out of the race for Merino could mean that Arsenal get their guy. Now, if we're linked with Fabian Ruiz and Mikel Merino, trust me, that's 2 players that have just won the Euros. That's 2 players with a hell of a lot of experience. That's 2 players who are extremely comfortable on the ball. And 2 players for me that would cost us combined what? Well, for this season anyway, £20 million. In total, around about £55, £60 million for both these players. That's really good business as far as I'm concerned. For experienced heads, we don't want any more 20 years olds that are going to be ready in 5 years. I don't want another Lokonga. I don't want another trusting Charlie Patino type player. I just want personally a player to come in that's going to be ready now. And it looks like these 2 could actually both happen. Now, I'm really pleased that Arsenal are looking at 2 midfielders because that's what we need. The only thing I will say is if we are looking at getting rid of one player, who is it? Is it going to be a Thomas Partey? Is there going to be a Saudi Arabia club that wants to come in for him and he has to go out? Personally, I would say no. I don't think there's any interest at the moment. It doesn't sound like any of the Saudi Arabian clubs are interested in signing Thomas Partey. And if I'm honest with you, unless we were to get in a bid of region of 25-30, I wouldn't sell him anyway. I'd just keep him for another season and let him choose his club. Likewise, Jorginho. Let them both go at the end of this season. And you've got Fabian Ruiz, you've got Mikel Merino, you've got Declan Rice, you've got Martin Odegaard. Let's be real, that is the way that I see things. The other midfielder that could be on his way out, of course, is Emil Smith-Rowe. So it might be that they're talking about the midfielder in that respect leaving. It might not be a Partey Jorginho that has to go. It might be that Emil Smith-Rowe is the one that we're talking about. And we know now that he is on his way to Fulham, made quite clear by Mikel Arteta in his press conference that this is probably going to happen, that there's too much going on away from football, so that he's not part of the game. So I think potentially it could be now Emil Smith-Rowe, that they're midfielder that they're talking about. Fulham interested, 35 million. It seems like it's going to happen. For me, that's good business, I must say. For a player who's not played much football in the last 12, 18 months due to injury, I know he's 23. I know if they get him fit, he could be an absolute baller. And you know what? I hope he is at Fulham. I hope he goes and has a brilliant career. I love everything about Smith-Rowe. But for me, it's time. It really is. And for me, if Emil Smith-Rowe wants to leave Arsenal, we have to say goodbye to him and say fair play to you, mate. I hope you do very, very well. The other 2 players, of course, that are interested in moves away are Eddie and Nketiah, who's showing interest from Marseille, around about 25-30 million pounds. I think, likewise, we have to accept this if it comes in. If we can throw some add-ons there to try and take it past 30 million, brilliant. I just think get it done, get him sold, and let's get the players in that we need. And, of course, likewise with Reiss Nelson, Leicester are the favourites to get him. Obligation, loan with obligation, I should say, sorry. around about 15, 20 million pounds is being rumoured. If we can get these three sold, that means that we have near on just shy of 100 million pounds for these three players to go and spend on other targets. That, for me, when you look at potentially only having to spend 60 million on both Merino and Ruiz, allows you to go and get potential for Eze, allows you to go and look if we can go and get Nico Williams, allows you, dare I say it, to go and get a Victor Gyökeres or a type of striker that we need. For me, it would be good business. That's all I'm saying. So for me, these three have to go now. I do think their careers are needed to go and get first team football, and I think it's fair on them lads. But also I think it's fair to say that those clubs are getting good players. We're not selling absolute dross here. They've got young English players, or youngish English players in the case of Eddie and Nketiah, that have still got a long way to go in their career. So they could have a very good spell at a club. So honestly, I think it would be a good move. But Jacob Kiwior is the other player that Arsenal were looking at potentially getting rid of. Inter Milan, very interested in this player, and clubs in Serie A are definitely tracking him. So I think once Calafiori comes in the door, Jacob Kiwior will be the guy that leaves. And on that, it looks as if Calafiori is going to have his medical today. He's arrived in England. He's now set to undergo a medical ahead of a move to Arsenal. It all goes to plan. If it all goes to plan, Calafiori will link up with the rest of the Arsenal squad in America on their pre-season tour, and that should happen on Saturday. So by tomorrow, I expect him to be over in the US, which means today he should have his medical, and it will all be announced, and we can finally get Calafiori over the line. Links to Pedro Neto, links to Eze, links to Gyökeres, Merino and Ruiz we've spoken about, Calafiori in the door, links with goalkeepers to potentially replace Ramsdale. Could Arsenal be underway to get 5 or 6 signings in this summer? I really hope so. We need a striker. We need a winger. We need someone to replace in midfield, maybe 2 of those options. We definitely need the left-back Calafiori, and we need a goalkeeper. So that's 6. Let's see how many of them we can get. Maybe we get 4. Maybe we get all 6. Maybe we get shy of that. But for me, definitely linked in the right positions. And I will say this to end. For me, since Arteta and Edu have come in, the only one positive I will give them is that we are always linked with players in the right positions that we need. We are not being linked with another player that we look at and think, why are we getting another right back in? Why are we getting another this in, another that in, another that in? We never did that. With Wenger, needed a central midfielder and a central defender for about, 10 years? We kept getting another left back, another winger, another striker, another attacking midfielder, another right winger. It weren't for me. So this is at least positions that we need to strengthen for sure. So anyway, that's enough from me. Listen, absolute pleasure speaking to all of you. There's nearly 500 of you in here. Let's hit the like button, people. How many likes have we got? We've only just got over 100 likes. That's terrible. Come on. Make sure you hit the like button. It's absolutely free. Hit the subscribe button as well. And make sure you click the pinned comments. A lot of you have been buying these beard trimmers. So thank you so much for that. Manscaped will be loving you for it. It is not below the belt grooming this time. It is, of course, a beard trimmer. And I trust you when I say this, guys. Please make sure that you do it. Because for me, I would say personally that these are the best beard trimmers out on the market. So all you got to do is click on the pinned comment. It will take you straight to the website. Go on Beard and Face, Beard Hedger. Got to click Beard Hedger. Add it to the cart. Check out, and you'll see 20% has come off of your deal using the code FTM20. So please make sure that you do that. Big up to all of you for being here. Absolute legends. Hit the like button on your way out, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy, people.
Yes, people, Manscaped is back. But this time, it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.